In the latest episode of Conspiracy Social Club, Bryan Callen and Sam Tripoli's podcast, I must say, their most interesting one to date, Brendan Schaub made an appearance. So, right off the rip at the beginning of the podcast, Bryan Callen addressed something. I'm going to make a separate video about that a little bit later. But at around an hour and 29 minutes in, Sam and Bryan are talking, and a door opens up and in walks Brendan Schaub, and they start talking to him. Now you don't get to see Brendan Schaub, and then Sam starts talking to Brendan. You can hear Brendan in the background, and then Bryan Callen's like, "Oh, someone just walked in. We can't say who it was." And then the screen flashes, and an obvious edit happened, and they continued with the podcast. However, they were still kind of talking to Brendan, and you can still kind of hear Brendan like off in the background. But obviously, they took a huge edit because he was talking to Bryan and Sam Tripoli. But I mean, it was a weird. This podcast today that they dropped is very, very interesting, but it's so weird. I mean, Brendan Schaub walks into the room and he came and like sit down with the dudes and be on camera. It's that bad. But Bryan Callen does address that, and I will make a separate video about it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments if you've seen this episode so far and what you thought about Brendan Schaub appearing on the podcast.